الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
إن الحمد لله, all praise is due to Allah. نحمده, we praise Him. ونستعينه, and we look for His assistance and His help. ونستهديه, we look for Allah's guidance. ونتوب إليه, and we repent to Him. ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا, we seek refuge with Allah against the evil of our souls. ومن سيئات أعمالنا, and the wickedness of our action. من يهد الله فهو المهتدي, whoever Allah has guided is indeed guided. ومن يضلل فلا هادي له, and whoever Allah has misguided, there is no one who can guide him. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah. وأشهد أن محمد رسول الله, and I bear witness that Muhammad is Allah's messenger. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. O believers, fear Allah the way He deserves to be feared, and don't accept to die unless you are completely, irreversibly, perfectly, unconditionally submitted to Him. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة. O mankind, fear your Lord, who has created you from one single soul. وخلق منها زوجها, He has made beside him his mate, his companion. وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء. Allah has spread many men and many women through this first couple. واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام. Fear Allah, to whom you ask one another favors, Please, brother, give me that for the sake of Allah. Please, sister, give me that for the sake of Allah. Forgive me because I'm sorry, I'm wrong. For the sake of Allah, forgive me and pardon me. إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. Indeed, Allah is watching you, controlling you, knowing all the things you intend to do. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا. O believers, fear Allah and tell only the truth. يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم. If you fear Allah and you tell only the truth, then Allah will forgive all your sin. And also Allah will make perfect all your action, all your plans, all your strategies. وَمَنْ يُطِعِ اللَّهَ وَرَسُولَهُ فَقَدْ فَازَ فَوْزًا عَظِيمًا. Whoever obeys Allah and His Messenger, he will be indeed successful. أما بعد فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله. After all these praises, all these testimonies, all these supplications, all these blessings sent upon Muhammad, the best speech is with Divine One. There is no speech which can be compared to the Divine One. The best speech in all the matters is the peace of Allah, delivered to us through the revelation. If you want to be guided, to be happy, to be free, then refer to the speech of Allah. And this speech has taken two forms. The book of Allah, Kitabullah, Al-Furqan, Al-Quran, Al-Kitab, Al-Tanzil, Al-Dhikr. Then this is the first form of this speech. The second form, وَخَيْرِ الْهَدِي هَدِي مُحَمَّدٍ. And the best guidance, the best sunnah is the sunnah of Muhammad. Then we have explained before today what is the meaning of the sunnah. And every single Muslim believer must be aware, must know exactly the meaning of the sunnah. Because some people, they want to manipulate us, to make us waver and to make us undecisional, because they are hesitating, they are in doubt, they don't know exactly what kind of behavior, spiritual, intellectual, moral, ethic they have to adopt, because they don't know the meaning, the true meaning of the sunnah. And if you don't know the true meaning of the sunnah, you cannot be guided towards Allah. Then what is the meaning of the sunnah? As you know, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has sent down His speech, the book of Allah. But how to read it? This is the first aspect of the sunnah. How I read Al-Fatiha, I read Al-Baqarah, I read Al-Imran. How I read all the chapters of the Quran, all the verses of the Quran. This is the first form of the sunnah. The second form of the sunnah, how we must write this speech. Because we have Arabic language. Before even Muhammad has been sent, Arab have had their own language, their way to write it. But when Allah has sent Muhammad, the new way, the very revolutionized way to write Arabic language has been invented, given by Allah to Muhammad. Write my book this way. This is called Al-Rasm Al-Usmani. There is a science which teaches you how to write the Quran. It is not like that. You can be very, very strong, very knowledgeable in Arabic language, taken your PhD in grammar, in vocabulary, in rhetoric, but at the same time, you will be never able to write the Quran. Why? Because there is a sunnah, there is a way, a tradition to write the Quran. The third component, ingredient of the sunnah, what is the exact interpretation of the verses of the Quran in many matters, dogmatic matters, legal matters, social matters, economic matters, religious matters, worshipping matters, in every single detail of your relationship with Allah. What I have to attain to get us a result, how I can understand the Quran, how I can interpret the Quran. The only interpretation we accept of the Quran is the one done by Allah Himself and Muhammad. Then the interpretation of the Quran done by Allah and Muhammad, this is called a Sunnah also. Then this is the third component of the Sunnah. The last thing, how I implement practically all the things I have mentioned. How I pray, I fast, I give zakat, I perform my pilgrimage, I celebrate my marriage, I do my divorce, and I accept to my inheritance. Then all the matters, without them you cannot live. Then all the matters needed to live exactly, happily, freely, and connect to Allah, you need the Sunnah to know that. Then we have four components. Then وَخَيْرَ الْهَدِي هَدْي مُحَمَّدٍ, the best tradition to write the Quran is the one inherit from Muhammad. The best tradition to recite the Quran is the one inherit from Muhammad. And the best tradition to interpret the Quran, to understand it, is the one inherit the legacy of Muhammad. And the best way to implement, to act upon all the teaching you have is to follow the path of Muhammad, not to invent, not to innovate, not to establish a new thing. No, you have to be a follower, very obedient in all your matters. Then today, inshallah ta'ala, after telling you assalamu alaikum, we want to tell a little bit about Taqwa. You know, in Islam, we have many matters, many topics, many subjects, and no one cannot attain the knowledge of all these things unless he passes through the revelation, the Quran and the Sunnah. Then what is Taqwa? Then if you want to talk about a topic, you have to define it first, and also to invoke the legal status. Second, the pillar of this thing. Third, who is called to implement it. Fourth, and what is the beneficial result we can take from this kind of matter. Then Taqwa, we need to define it, and there are many to define a concept, but you have to go to the Quran all the time. If you want to define something related to the revelation, go to the Quran itself. It is okay. And we have two ways to define Taqwa. The first is to describe al-muttaqun. Who are al-muttaqun? The second is to describe Taqwa itself. And we have two verses in the Quran, both of them in Surah Al-Baqarah, that Allah has used to define first the al-muttaqun, second Taqwa itself. قال الله سبحانه وتعالى في سورة البقرة, willing to define al-muttaqun, ألف لام ميم ذلك الكتاب لا ريب فيه هدى للمتقين الذين يؤمنون بالغيب ويقيمون الصلاة ومما رزقناهم ينفقون والذين يؤمنون بما أنزل إليك وما أنزل من قبلك وبالآخرة هم يوقنون. That you see here, Allah is so beautiful. When Allah Then Allah, He is defined here, Taqwa, al-Muttaqun, by mentioning their characteristic, what they have, what they possess. And here He has mentioned six things. The first, al-Iman bil Ghaib. Excuse me. Allah has used two kinds of al-Iman. The first, al-Iman bil Ghaib. The second, al-Iman biman anzal Allah ala Muhammadin. The third, al-Iman bima anzal Allah ala man qabla Muhammadin. Then if you want to define at-Taqwa, to describe what are al-Muttaqun, Allah has used the first thing, al-Iman, to tell us the importance, how highly, absolutely it is important to believe. But there are three kinds of belief here that Allah has mentioned. The first, to believe in unseen, what is not apprehendable. You cannot apprehend it through your physical capacities, abilities, your mind, your reason, your sight, everything you have, you cannot attain it because it is above your apprehension. You cannot do that. Allah has will that you will never able to know exactly the essence, the intrinsicity of al-Ghaib. Why? It is hidden on us. Then you have to believe it. But the belief is some kind of knowledge. No one cannot attain it unless through the grace of Allah, the mercy of Allah. You cannot believe if Allah doesn't like it. Look at Muhammad. He was surrounded by four uncles, Abu Talib, Abu Lahab, Abbas, and Hamza. But the closest among all of them to Muhammad, the most beloved to Muhammad, was Abu Talib. قال الله سبحانه وتعالى إنك لا تهدي من أحببت ولكن الله يهدي من يشاء. Muhammad, indeed, you cannot guide anyone you lost. Only Allah can guide whoever He wants. Then Muhammad was loving so much, friendly, deeply his uncle Abu Talib, but he couldn't guide him because it is not up to Muhammad to give the guidance. Al-Iman. It is only up to Allah to make you believe in the unseen. Then this is the first form of Al-Iman. The second form, to believe in what has been revealed to Muhammad. You know, some people, they believe in Allah, but they don't believe in what has been revealed to Muhammad. As I have said to you, my brother and sister, you have to believe in the Quran and in the Sunnah, the same degree of belief. You cannot separate both of them. You cannot make hierarchy between them. I believe in the Quran, but I don't believe in the Sunnah. I believe in some part of the Quran, but I don't believe in the whole Quran. I believe in the Sunnah, but I believe only in the Sunnah narrated by the wives of Muhammad, or by his companion, or by the household of Muhammad. This is not the true belief. It is not the authentic belief. You have to believe in all the Quran, in all the Sunnah. It's okay. Then this is the second. The third part is to believe in the revelation given to the Prophet before Muhammad. This is so crucial. Then if you have the three beliefs, you are a believer. And there are three things also you have to do here in this surah, in these first verses of Al-Baqarah. The first is to perform the salat, iqamatul salat. And we have 7 obligatory prayers. 7. It is not true? The first is the 5 daily prayers. Every day you have to pray 5. And the second is the weekly prayer, obligatory prayer. Today, Friday. The 7 is to pray on the dead person. Then there are 7 obligatory prayers in Islam. The 5 are individual. The first, as-subh, az-zuhr, asr, Maghrib, Isha. This is individual obligation. And every Friday you have to come to pray. Friday, if you are not a slave, you are not a woman, you are not a child, you are not a sick person, and you are not traveling, then it is an obligation upon you. If you deliberately you don't do it through 3 weeks, you are not a Muslim. You have to renew your faith in Allah. But some people, they don't consider as an important issue. Wallahi, they are here around us, continue to sell and to buy, to bargain. We are Jum'ah, they don't come to pray Jum'ah. It is an obligation upon you. Besides the 5, it is an obligation upon you to pray Friday. And the last one is to pray. If your brother or your sister passed away, you have to pray in his body. But this is a collective obligation. If some people do it, it is not, Allah will never pursue the others. Then we have 7 obligatory prayers in Islam. Otherwise, all the prayers we do, they are sunnah. وَيُقِيمُونَ الصَّلَاةِ. The second, وَمِمَّا رَزَقْنَاهُ يُنْفِقُونَ. To be pious, to become pious, at-taqiyyu, you need to spend out of the money that Allah has given you. Your income, your property, all the properties you have must be, you must take some portion from it and to spend for the sake of Allah, only for the sake of Allah. If you don't do it, you are not pious. Then there are 7 categories of expenses which are obligatory. As zakat, first. Second, to go to the Hajj, you have to spend from your money to go to the Hajj. Third, you have to pay all your loans. Either you take the loans, the debt from the believer or from the non-believer. I have taken money from you, you loan money, then you loan me money, I have to reimburse it. Obligation, it is an obligation. The 4th, you have kids, you have wives, you have to spend on them. And if your father is alive, he cannot support himself, and there is no one who can do it except you, you have to spend on him. And also your mom. And also if your father has other wives, not your mom, and he's not able to feed them, you have to spend on them obligatory. And the last one, you have to go to make jihad, fi sabilillah. And there are very many kinds of jihad. To build a mosque, jihad. To print books, jihad. To buy carpets for the mosque, jihad. To pay the bill of electricity, gas, jihad. To pay imam to teach you Al-Quran, As-Sunnah, Arabic language, jihad. To be kind towards every single person, jihad. To be kind to animals, jihad. To nourish plants, plantation and vegetation, jihad. To tell Assalamu alaikum, jihad. To be able to protect yourself against the evil, jihad. All these kinds are jihad. If we tell the concept of jihad in the Quran, there are very multiple. Then these are the things. The last thing is we have talked about 3 kinds of beliefs, 2 kinds of practices. As-salat, az-zak, al-nafaqat. And the last thing to be pious is to have the certainty, al-yaqeen, about the event of hereafter. Some people, they pray, they fast, but they don't believe in the resurrection. They don't believe in the life after the death, because they think that Allah is able to give life, to take life, but to not give again life. They are disbelievers. They are hypocrites. If they pray with you, they are hypocrites, and their destination is hellfire. Then to define al-taqwa, Allah has here only the characteristic of al-muttaqun. And the second thing is in Surah Al-Baqarah. Allah has enumerated many things to be pious. قال الله سبحانه وتعالى ليس البر أن تولوا وجوهكم قبل المشرق والمغرب ولكن البر من آمن بالله واليوم الآخر والملائكة والكتاب والنبيين وآتى المال على حبه ذوي القربى واليتامى والمساكين وابن السبيل والسائلين وفي الرقاب وأقام الصلاة وآتى الزكاة والموفون بأهلهم إذا آحدوا والصابرين في البأساء والضراء وحين البأس أولئك الذين صدقوا وأولئك هم المتقون. Then here Allah is defining the piety and taqwa through another concept, al-birru. Al-birru. Al-birru is a very, very global and universal concept. What does mean al-birru? Al-birru, every kind of goodness is called al-birru. For example, you come to the hospital as a doctor, as a nurse, as a pharmacist, or you are transporting people to come to this hospital, or you build bridges, roads, schools, hospital, or you lead a country, or you run a business, or even you believe or you don't believe, whatever good thing you do is good, is called al-birr. But there are two kinds of al-birr. The first is one are destined to Allah. The second is one are destined to myself, to be famous, respected in my community, like Nelson Mandela, like Martin Luther King here, or Barack Obama, all the Nobel Prizes in physics, in medicine, in economy. They are famous and they are useful to the community. But they are acting for the sake of Allah or for the seeking of the fame? Many people in this world, they do good things to be cited, to be respected, to be recognized, to be known. Many people, through all human history, it was like that. Alexander the Great, Plato, Aristotle, Socrates, Hegel, all the big scientists, all the big philosophers, all the big conquerors, all of them through human history, they have done. Mahatma Gandhi, Nelson Mandela, they have done big things, not to be close to Allah, not to be accepted into paradise, but only for human reason. Their motivation, all the motivation they have is to be recognized as a role model, not to be a slave and a servant of Allah. This kind of goodness, it is good. If you can do it, it is good. But your reward is here, only here. You will never be accepted by Allah in His paradise. But if the good you are doing is to be close to Allah, to be connected to Allah, to be a good servant of Allah, this is called Taqwa. Then the reason why Allah said, لَيْسَ الْبِرَّ أَن تُوَلُّوا وُجُوهَكُمْ قِبَلَ الْمَشْرِقِ وَالْمَغْرِبِ. The goodness doesn't consist to face west or east while you are praying. Then it doesn't consist to pray only. وَلَكِنَّ الْبِرَّ بِرُّ مَنْ آمَنَ. Allah doesn't take care of the goodness unless it comes from a believer. If you do all the good, you do all the good you can, but you don't believe in Allah, Allah will never count it as a goodness, and Allah will never give you a reward the one can deserve if he is a believer, faithful person. Then Allah is enumerating many characteristics. أولا من آمن بالله واليوم الآخر والملائكة والكتاب والنبيين. Then you have to believe in all that. وأقام الصلاة, you have to perform الصلاة. وآتى الزكاة, and you have to give zakat. والموفون بأهلهم, and those who fulfill their engagement, their promises. I have promised something, even if it is narrow, little, tiny, I have to fulfill it. I have to consider to respect all my engagement towards every single person, even if they don't believe in Allah, even if they hate me. Because Allah said in the Quran, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu awfu bil uqud. All believers, fulfill all the engagement. Al-uqud, al-uqud, all the engagement, marriage, divorce, inheritance, every single of engagement you have to take, you have to fulfill it. Then, وأقام الصلاة وآتى الزكاة والموفون بأهل إذا عاهدوا والصابرين في البأساء والضراء. And if you are a pious person, you have to be patient, determined, resolute when the calamities fall upon you. Some people, they don't accept that. I'm sick, I don't accept it. I'm sick, I don't accept it. I'm poor, I don't accept it. Why Allah has sent to me poverty and illness? Why I have to stay long time in illness, in poverty? What I have done to Allah to have this kind of behavior toward me? Wallah, Allah doesn't love me. He doesn't like me. He hates me. This is the reason why He has sent to me this kind of calamities. No, Allah sent calamities to anyone and to everybody whom He loves and whom He doesn't love. Then if some calamities come to you, you have to be patient, endurant, resolute, determined. Don't put yourself in fullness. No, don't put yourself in this kind of behavior, ungrateful behavior. Be sure that Allah is testing you, either to increase your iman, to make you close to Him, or to destroy you. Every kind of calamity, if it happens to you to live it, be sure the outcome is two kinds of things. The first, either you be close to Allah, or in contrary, you will be very far from Allah. Then be very careful. You can pray, fast, make charity, but if you are not patient, you are not endurant, you are not supportable for the calamities, wallahi, you will never be among the pious. والصابرين في البأساء والضراء وحين البأس. This is particularly very big, particularly to this, because of Islamophobia in everywhere. You are living in the context and in the environment. People don't like you. Don't be shamed because you are Muslim. Don't be feared because you are Muslim. Wherever you are, express your identity, your addition to Islam, and be proud of being Muslim. Be proud